Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Botetourt County Board of Supervisors, December 29th at 3:30. Before we get started, I have been notified that Supervisor Clinton, due to a medical condition, is unable to attend this meeting in person. Consistent with state law and the board's bylaws, I move that the board approve Mr. Clinton's participation in today's meeting through electronic communication. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Steve, are you with us? Steve, can you hear us? Steve, can you hear us? Okay. Steve, can you unmute and let us know if you can hear us? Steve, can you hear us? We're beginning the meeting. You can try to call him or text him. We'll pause for 1 second. Steve, can you hear us? This is Amy. Ask him if he can hear us. You can't unmute him. We can mute people, I think, but we can't unmute them.
Can we have him on the phone with?
You can, the legal
But she's
requirement is that he needs to be able to hear us and we need to be able to hear him.
You want me to go over there? Don't mind?
Yeah, where? No. I mean, I don't think we should.
If we can, because I just asked this,
He can chat.
but for his vote to count, we have to hear him, he has to hear us.
Yeah.
What does he? So let's just go ahead and give it to Brent.
Hmm.
That's what I wanted.
Go ahead. So while we're waiting to connect with Mr. Clinton, I will just add to the agenda, we are going to allow public comment. We do not have forms today to sign, so I'll just call on you as you raise your hands. If you want to comment on this agenda item, only on this agenda item, we will each have 3 minutes. You will be asked to give us your name and your address as you come to the microphone, since we're not collecting forms today. But we do want to give everybody the opportunity to comment on this agenda item. So if you want to think about what you want to say, if you want to say anything, hopefully we'll be connected with Supervisor Clinton shortly.
Going now.
Yeah. No.
Technical difficulties.
Is it hot in here?
You're right.
Oh, there went on.
Hear us, I can hear it. But keep your phone. Let him speak into a microphone and hear his voice.
I guess, I mean, as a practical matter, how's he gonna tell you that? I mean, you can have him. The only requirement of the law is that you have to be able to hear him and he has to be able to hear you. You don't need video.
That way we can.
That's fine.
So he can hear us. Steve, you can hear us, just to confirm. Yeah. And so what we'll do is we're gonna have a microphone with this phone. You're gonna keep the phone on the whole time. And so saying would come across the microphone for everybody in the room. So don't talk unless you need to, just like you would normally, okay? Okay, and we'll have a microphone. We'll have that so that you can speak.
Set it up here.
Okay, save this to David, you're on speaker now.
Can someone sit there? Okay, Steve, can you hear us? We have voted unanimously to allow you to participate electronically. I think we're going to have feedback on everything that I say. Yeah.
Steve, can you turn the volume down on your computer? We're getting feedback. And then if you want to test it again.
Steve, can you hear us? Nothing.
Okay.
We'll try this. Okay. With that, we will get started. Dr. Scott Horn, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody stand, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's have a brief moment of silence to consider the issues before us today and other issues that might be on our hearts. Thank you. So as you know, we have one agenda item today. This agenda item was tabled earlier this month at our regularly scheduled December 16th meeting. So our first action item will need to be to bring that item, which was change order number 3 at last month's meeting or last week's meeting. We need to bring that off the table. So I will need a motion and then we'll vote on whether to bring that issue off the table.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Clinton, can you give us your vote on bringing this item off the table?
I vote to remove it from the table.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous. So now we will. Steve, can you? Well, there's progress.
Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Well, there you go. Okay, you're back and we don't have feedback. So
Yeah.
we're now going to proceed with public comment. So I'm just going to look for a show of hands of folks who would like to speak on this issue. Do I have anyone from the public who would like to speak? Let's start in the back. Yes, ma'am. If you'll come to a microphone, give us your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes. Julie, you have the timer. Thank you. Come right to the front there.
Oh. My name's Rachel Hager. I live in Wirtz, Virginia. I want to speak about the EMS issue. When the board approved the EMS radio communications upgrade, the public was told it was replacing decades-old analog radios so first responders could talk more clearly. But the engineering paperwork describes a fiber optic system with hundreds of strands, redundant loops, and substation power upgrades That's not just radios, that's the same infrastructure used by industrial data centers and broadband carriers. Those design routes line up exactly with Dominion Energy's planned substation improvements and Appalachian Power's grid resiliency corridors running parallel to I-81. At the same time, state development agencies are offering grants through the VEDP, Go Virginia Region 2, and the Business Ready Sites programs. Each of those programs encourages counties to build out high-capacity fiber and power for future industry. In plain English, that means data centers and AI infrastructure, often for private companies like Google or Amazon. So I'm asking, why is this public safety project mirroring specifications written for those corporate facilities? Why are we, the citizens, assuming permanent debt for an asset that private tenants can lease later for a fraction of our cost? Public bonds were sold under the heading Communications Resiliency and Emergency Interoperability. Those phrases sound harmless, but they are category codes that qualify for state and federal matching funds. Money that flows down while local control disappears. Once that money hits the books, county officials lose discretion. The grants come with partnership clauses and data sharing agreements that the public never sees. I want to be clear, I'm not accusing anyone here of personal corruption. What I'm saying is that the process as written hides critical information behind bureaucratic vocabulary. Most local officials don't realize they're helping create a regional utility corridor serving both government and private cloud industry. We need sunlight before the foundation hardens. Here's a few examples. It looks like the 2024 capital improvement plan lists communications infrastructure category 610 combined with energy category 820, which merges telecom and power spending. The state public procurement portal lists Motorola Solutions and Morecom International as prime contractors, the same firms that engineer data center networks in Northern Virginia. The State Corporation Commission records Dominion's Botetourt project as supporting future load growth in the Roanoke region. All that is public record. Anyone can verify it. I have three questions. Is it possible to publish full technical specifications for the EMS project, including total fiber count, power capacity, tower co-location agreements? If this is purely an EMS system, then let's see it. List every state or federal grant connected to this project and explain any public-private language in those agreements before moving forward. And hold a public workshop before any new bids or change orders so we can ask questions in the open. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Back row? Moving down. Yes, ma'am. Come forward.
Is there a clock that, oh, there
Right
it
there.
is.
Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity to address this body. My name is Frida Cathcart. I represent Roanoke City on the Blue Ridge Soil and Water Conservation District. I'm a district director, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we protect the water and the soil. I'm here on behalf of my constituents who are very concerned about the potential of the effect of a large, really huge data center in Botetourt County and its effects on the water authority. The risk to 2 to 8 million gallons of water a day being taken out of our water supply without public hearings, without a chance to weigh into it. I also wanted to let you know that I'm a Dominion Energy shareholder, and I am an energy investor. And I've been looking at the technology. There's some really cool technology emerging with data centers. Microsoft is getting ready to build one that uses no water at all, or it's also not a drain on the energy supply. It's a closed loop system. It's cutting edge. Also, in Finland, they have created data centers underground that are heating 100,000 homes. So there's some really exciting emerging technology that could really benefit Botetourt County and this region without putting a strain on our electrical grid or our water supply. So I just wanted to caution this board to put a pause on what's happening right now until you can look at this new technology. And just to let you know, when it comes to being a Dominion Energy shareholder, I am currently carrying and working with Dominion Energy on a resolution that I submitted last year, asking them to do an evaluation about litigation built on stranded assets. I don't have time to go into the weeds, but I'm working with them right now on a report for it to be issued to the investors to make sure that our investments are being treated wisely with these emerging technologies. Because what has happened before in the past is often when there is a disruption and changes of this magnitude, there are some people that make it through with the best technology and improvements that do very well. But there's a whole lot of people that are left with stranded assets that get burned. And I want to make sure that our region in this area is in the first one, where we're getting the best to serve our region. So I appreciate this time today, and I'd love to follow up with you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, come on down. And I'll remind us that we are to speak only on the agenda item, which is the telecommunication system today.
Good evening. James Mansfield, 40 Southview Street, Buchanan. First off, I serve on Buchanan Town Council in the capacity of Vice Mayor, and I stand here before you. I'm in full support of our law enforcement, our fire and EMS. This radio system is a necessity for fire and rescue. I put 26 years in on fire and rescue, and it's been many a time, many a night that you could not get dispatched to answer because they couldn't hear you or we couldn't hear them. The thing is, if the Board of Supervisors decides to pass this, you're looking at substantial savings by signing this before the end of the year. 2.5 million ain't pocket change to most of us in this county. And it's like this. I know that y'all have it rough, because I have it rough at town of Buchanan on figuring out where money's going to come from, where it's going to go. But the 2.5 million, cut it somewhere, find it somewhere else, because communications is lifeblood for our fire, rescue, and law enforcement in this county. The biggest thing is some of the things that you need: a 911 center backup consoles that'll match where your people, if one center goes down, they can go to the other center, sit down, log in, and get going. Not things different. Your change orders that'll be presented to you, from what I know, will clarify it for you and give you good service down the road for years. And the biggest thing that everybody needs to know, the radio system that we're working on right today, that's our law enforcement, fire and rescue, and EMS, and even your school buses is on it. It's at the end of its lifespan. The last time they got parts, they got them off eBay. When it goes down this time, it won't be no coming back. You might need 2 cans and a string to communicate, but that's the reason what is coming to y'all is coming to you, and the public needs to know it. This is our county moving forward on this communication system. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this issue? Going once. Thank you. So Mr. Hinkle, we'll invite you down now to give our presentation regarding the change order.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Matt Hinkle, your Emergency Communications Systems Manager. Let me get this set up here. So I've got a couple of synopsis slides up front. I've got a number of supporting slides if the questions dictate. But one, first things first, thanks for meeting today. It is imperative that we, address this issue. One, there's going to be cost savings of about $650,000 that we can realize if we execute this by the end of the year. And probably most importantly is keeping the project on schedule. The schedule that we have currently with the vendor has us doing coverage testing up until the last 2 weeks of September. We have to have the coverage testing done no later than September 30th because of the foliage on the trees. We have to test while there's the most leaves are on the trees. If we waited another, 4 weeks, 30 days, that could put us out of that window. It's going to be tough to get there anyway, but if we miss that window, we can't start testing again until May of 2027. So that's another 8 months that we'll be riding on the 25-year, at that point, to be 26 or 27-year-old system. So keeping it on schedule is very, very important. So we're going to go over some of the coverage areas. We'll do the change order options so you can see what the different options that we've prepared for you. And like I said, I've got some supporting documentation if you would like, and then the recommendations. Excuse me. So this is the coverage area that we can expect with the systems that you're going to see in the change order options. It is a split frequency system. So the north part of the county will be covered by VHF. For the radio folks in the group, that's the 150 megahertz bandwidth. The south 5 sites, which would be Purgatory, Fincastle, Landfill, Tinker, and Boxley, will be in 700 megahertz, which will give us interoperability with Roanoke and Bedford. And that's represented in the purple. The orange, obviously, is the VHF coverage in the north. The pink area in the middle is what is covered by both cells. So a radio in that mid-county area may be communicating on the north, it may be communicating on the south, but it'll be transparent to the end user. They won't have to switch radios or switch channels or anything of that nature. But this gives you the idea of the coverage that we're going to get with the mobile radios and also with the vehicle repeaters that we've talked about a number of times in the past. I will note that you'll see in the options 3 and 4 that we're going to present to you in a minute, the area in Arcadia, you can see that that's still a trouble area. We've worked out a deal with Virginia State Police or the STARS radio network to where they're going to license some frequencies for us on the north and VHF because their system is VHF. They actually needed coverage from Buchanan to the Rockbridge County line that we have, and they don't. So we had something that they needed. They have something that we needed, and we were able to work out something to where they don't have to build a tower. It saves the state $1 million. We don't have to build a tower because we can write off some coverage that they provide on Apple Orchard up on the Parkway. So it's a win-win. Our Botetourt County taxpayers actually win twice because we don't have to use our tax money and the state tax money that we send to the state. So that's a really beneficial option for us, and you'll see that here in just a second. So it does just increases the coverage in the Oriskany, back up a second, Oriskany and Iron Gate. In the other coverage projections that we had moving early on in the project, those were really trouble areas, mostly from the quiet zone restrictions. And then, of course, Arcadia is covered with the VSP site. There we go. So these are the 4 different options that we've prepared for you for consideration. As you can see, we've listed out the amenities or features for each of the options. Option 1 and 2 do not have that Virginia State Police option that I spoke of a little bit ago. We still get 90% mobile coverage, which is very good. And with the vehicle repeaters, we should realize somewhere around 94-95% portable coverage. We will have interoperable with our neighbors. So that's Rockbridge, Allegheny, Craig, Bedford, and Roanoke. The radios in the current contract before this change order, I believe we spoke about it at the last meeting. Those were some of the legacy radios that have been around for at least 10 years. This change order addresses that and has the models that we anticipate will be supported for much longer than the legacy radios. That will prevent us from having to replace those legacy radios before their actual end of life. That it could be about a $5 or $6 million cost savings 5 or 6 years down the road. All the options will have 7 sites, and all the options have on the primary dispatch center what we call Axis, which is the Motorola brand name for their radio consoles. And those consoles are actually tied into the radio system. They are connected to the system. And imagine that those are full featured. The backup dispatch center in option 1 is what we had spec'd out originally. And before we had the option of the Fincastle Tower, we were going to use the Motorola AvTech console, which is a lower tier console. It's a bit more basic, but it will do the functions that we need for dispatch. And you can see on option 1, that change order is $2.298 million for a final contract price of $23.071. Option 2 is the same infrastructure as option 1, but you'll notice that the big difference is that the backup dispatch center has now been upgraded to the Axis consoles that are in the primary dispatch center. But everything else remains the same. And that change order is $2.693 million for a total contract price of $23,466. And I might add that those numbers, the total final contract numbers, also include outlying years of maintenance. So the years starting in year 4 through year 10. So those are just the contract obligations. The actual contract price, or I should say, build out price is right around $21 million. And I've got that. If you wish to see it, I've got those numbers in the supporting literature. Option 3 is where we introduced the Virginia State Police option. But option 3 basically is option 1 without upgrading the backup dispatch center, but incorporating the frequencies from the VSP. That one is $2.734 million. But I will note that you'll see the asterisk there. $435,000 is the cost to put the new frequencies from Virginia State Police. We've identified those funds in our current FY26 CIP budget. So it is not a net new ask. So in effect, we could do option 3 for the exact same price as option 1, but we have to reflect it because it is in the contract. We would pay for it, but it's not a net new ask for funds. Option 4 is the same as option 2 with the Virginia State Police interface or frequencies and interface. And this also has the Axis consoles or the upgraded consoles for the primary dispatch and backup dispatch center. And that option is $3.192 million for a total price of $23.902. There again, if you back out that 435, it really is the option 2 price. At this point, I would like to, I would like to address some of the comments earlier, especially about the fiber backhaul that was mentioned. There is no, this particular contract has no, we're not building any fiber. All the backhaul, well, not all, most of the backhaul will be 168 meg, 6 gig microwave that will be connecting the sites. We are leasing one fiber between Purgatory and Boxley, and that's 100 megs. That's one pair that we're leasing from Segra, but that's an existing fiber that's already there. The fiber's already laid at the sites. So there is no fiber in this particular build out. So I just wanted to make that clear. Also, too, from a power perspective, Obviously, we will be adding, power to the tower sites themselves. But there's already power at those locations. They're 400 amp services. It's very similar to a residential home that you put in. But there's no substantial build out of power other than what we would do, for a residential home. From a funding perspective, I know we have spoken about using some bonds for this, tax-free bonds. But to my knowledge, there are no grants that we have applied for or are utilizing for the funding of this particular project. It's either going to be a mix of reserve funds and bond funds, but there are no grants, federal or state. At this time, I can go into the supporting literature if you'd like, but I think I'd like to open up to questions that you might have on these options, and try to address any concerns that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkle. Any questions from the board? I'll start down here with Supervisor Michael.
Yes, I have a few questions for you. First is, will the new communication system use any of the fiber optic network that was built using the broadband grant funds?
The only fiber optic, like I mentioned before, the only fiber optic link that we're going to use is the from Purgatory Mountain to Boxley. I believe that was an existing link before the BEAD money, the BTOP and all that other stuff. So I would say no, we're not using any of the fiber that was from the grants.
Okay, thank you. Next one, has there been any renaming of the broadband expansion project to critical communication resilience?
In my capacity, I have not been involved in the fiber expansions for the county. So I don't have any knowledge of that. I know that we're not using any fiber. So I would say no, as far as I know.
Okay, thank you. And then, does the new communication system provide any benefit to the data center project in any way?
I can't see where it does. These two projects are mutually exclusive. We're using our own closed network, using microwave and that one fiber link. There's no build out of any infrastructure that Google could use, or any other vendor for that matter. We are co-locating on some towers that are being built, but they're being built by third parties, and we don't control what they do. But no, I can't. The county is not paying for anything that would benefit a third party. And as a matter of fact, if Mr. Lockerbie could speak a little more to it than I could, but as I understand it, if we use tax-free bonds, we cannot construct towers or anything of that nature where we would lease space on them. We can't profit from them if we're using tax-free bonds. So we're prohibited from doing that.
The next one, the new communication system, will it provide any fiber optic systems for other businesses to lease or to use space on?
No, sir. We don't have any fiber infrastructure that we're building to where we leased out to anybody.
All right. Does the new communication system bypass any environmental impact reviews or realize any rate reductions?
No, sir. As a matter of fact, all of the construction that we're doing when we put the shelters and the generators at the tower sites go through the same reviews that any other builder or contractor. The NEPA reviews, we have to do those as well. We're just like any other contractor that is building something in the county.
Okay, and the last one I have, will the new Motorola Assist dispatch system provide any information or usage for the new data center to provide any base load or for and any other proposed purposes for the new data center?
We're not using any of the Motorola cloud services, especially for dispatch. We don't have a Motorola dispatch. We use Southern software. And we're not going to be using any of their other cloud services that they market.
Thank you.
Mr. Nicely?
What is the biggest advantage for the duplicate center in Fincastle?
Well, obviously, if something were to happen to the primary center, it has a place for the dispatchers to be able to answer 911 calls and to dispatch those calls. It's not used very often, and I will say that the redundancy that we're putting into the new center is quite robust. And I don't know how much it would be used. I mean, but not only do you need it, just for quote unquote insurance policy, but there are sometimes, I know on the 911 side, when they apply for grants, they like to know that there is a backup center that the county has. But it's basically just a fail-safe if the primary center were to go down.
We had discussed a little bit about cutting back a little bit on the Smart Connect.
Yes, sir.
Is any of that dollars included in any of these options?
Yes, sir. So I'd gone back to the stakeholders, and we worked with the fire and EMS folks, Chief Ferguson, I believe he's in the crowd, and they indicated that they really didn't need it. So we have deleted that feature off of 175 of the fire and EMS portable radios. They'll use the vehicle repeaters when they get close to the buildings, and that will provide them the coverage that they need. That was a cost savings of about $66,000.
And that the options that you gave reflect that reduction?
That's correct.
Already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's other reductions in there as well, some inherent and some not. We backed out of the contract the installation of the mobile radios in the fire trucks and apparatus and the sheriff's vehicles. That saved us $544,000. As a part of this incentive that Motorola has offered us, we're also realizing $375,000 in savings for the mobile radios for the school buses. In addition, they have offered under the contingent that we signed by the end of the year that we get 2 extra years of maintenance warranty on all the radios, and that's about a $275,000 value. So we're buying 3 years, and then they've offered an extra 2, so we will not have to put our radios under maintenance contract with Motorola until year 6.
Questions? Dr. Scott on.
Yes, Matt, thank you for your hard work on this. I really appreciate the time that you spent educating us a little bit better. If you can go back to the options on the screen there again. And this is a real basic question. So this, you cut it all out. What is the wants and the needs? Where are we in, if we are choosing, these are the needs we need, what option?
Well, in my professional opinion, I think the very base option that we should consider is option 3. Option 4, which would be the inclusion of the dispatch center upgrade. Up until this time, we were fine with using the Avtech consoles before we had the Fincastle tower. I kind of liken it if you've got a farm and you've got 2 trucks. You got one to drive to church, which is a 2026 and nice, got all the features and everything, which is wonderful. But then you got one truck that you drive and you pick up some hay every couple months. That's kind of what the difference between the primary and the backup center would be.
And say if we didn't do this, what's the cost when we don't do this situation?
So the other option is if we continue down the road of building out a 800 megahertz northern simulcast cell. I didn't include it in here, but the change order options are, I think it starts right around $4.5 million. And that would be building a site in Oriskany. And it also, that $4.5 million does not include the upgrade to the newer radios. So you would be looking at another $5 or $6 million down the road, probably in 5 or 6 years.
And as far as our fire department and our volunteer fire department will have the capabilities as well?
Absolutely. So for the fire and EMS, which includes the volunteer firemen, fire departments, I should say, there are a full contingent of radios, mobile radios, vehicle repeaters. They'll be fully equipped. We've also worked out, and I know this is in some of the meetings with the fire commission, there was some concern about the paging for the volunteer firefighters. We have worked with them, and we come up with an option using what's called a unication pager. It's a brand of pager that actually works on the infrastructure. So we don't have to build a separate network, a newer network for the paging. They'll be able to use these pagers on the new system itself. They'll be able to monitor the traffic. They'll be able to get all their pages and things of that nature. Instead of spending $500,000 or $600,000 on a new paging system, we were able to get it for under, I think, $72,000 for the unication pagers. So it was quite a significant cost savings there, and they seem to be pleased with the option as well.
Great. Thank you.
Supervisor Clinton, do you have any questions for Mr. Hinkle?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question regarding the Virginia State Police issue, Mr. Hinkle.
Yes, sir.
Could you expand upon that in the following way? If we were to go with an option that does not include the Virginia State Police, then does that detract from our ability to communicate with the state police? That's one question. Then completely different viewpoint, same issue. Is the inclusion of the Virginia State Police in that particular geographical area that you showed, is that this is a multi-part question, I guess. Is that the only way that we can get coverage in that? Yeah, there's the map. Is that the only way we can get coverage in that area? And conversely, is it the only way that we'll have Virginia State Police coverage in the balance of the area? Did that make sense? You want me to rephrase that?
Yes, sir, it does. With the radios we're getting, we will have the ability to be able to talk natively onto the Virginia State Police system. However, obviously they have coverage issues in Botetourt. That's why they were looking to do something, in the Arcadia area. It will allow us to have what's called an inter-subsystem interface, which is a fancy term for a data connection between our systems. So the troopers will be able to roam onto our system, and they'll be able to use all 7 towers, and we'll be able to roam onto their system and primarily use the apple orchard site. So it'll be it'll be transparent for us and for them. So they would stay on their channel that they've got on the radio. It'll just roam right on. Without that, we would have to switch zones and go to a different channel that they have already selected. And it would not, I repeat, would not give us coverage for our system in Arcadia if we did not have that interface. And I'm sorry, Supervisor Clinton, what was the last question?
What was my last question? I think it was effectively the effects that including the Virginia State Police in our system, the effect that it would have in our ability to cover the remainder of our system. But I think you've answered that question.
Yes, sir. It would benefit us, especially in the Arcadia area. They have other sites, Potts Mountain, Fort Lewis in Salem, and North Mountain up in Rockbridge. But we would have much better coverage in the remainder of Botetourt. But that apple orchard site up on the Parkway really would help us out in the Arcadia area.
Are there detractions from this in the future, like obligations that we'd rather not have with the Virginia State Police, loss of control of budgets or radio systems or anything? In other words, are we ceding anything by including the Virginia State Police?
No, sir, because we have our own independent system. So we are the masters of our own domain, as it were, for our system. We're just connecting in to their system or tying in to their system. So we would be, two separate systems, and we can take our own path and do whatever we need to do. They're going to do what they need to do. But we'll just have that connectivity between us. So we're not becoming a part of the Virginia state system. We would still be our own independent entity. We're just sharing resources in those particular areas.
And future upgrades would not be affected one way or the other then? No, sir.
No, sir. And the Virginia State Police, they have what's called an SUA, software upgrade assurance, much like we do. So you really can't get N-1 in your versions. So as the versions, as you go through upgrades throughout the years, they're going to go through the same upgrades, which assures that interface is not going to get out of date, and we'll still have that connectivity.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Madam Chair.
Any other questions, Supervisor Clinton?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. So I just want to reflect back on some of the public comment and make sure we've addressed all those. I think I can summarize this with one question. I would just ask you, would we be having this discussion in this meeting today if the Google project had not been announced?
I doubt it very seriously. Well, no, you mean the system itself? Oh, absolutely.
We
Yeah.
would be having this opportunity for these change orders. And
Absolutely. I mean, the radio system upgrade is a 10+ year project that we've been doing internally. And it is, like I said earlier, it's mutually exclusive to anything with Google.
Thank you. And with that being said, to then dial into, thank you for switching to that slide. Let's dial in a little bit. At the invitation of constituents and employees, I spent a long time, a few years back, again, well before Google, in the 911 center, watching them work, seeing the immense expertise that's required to do those jobs and how it is so important. I've long said public safety is one of the most important things that this board can touch. So with that history, I'm really inclined to think specifically about the 911 center. Can you tell us, I think that's the main difference between 3 and 4. Can you really dive into some details there and let us know what we're looking at with respect to that facility?
With regards to the backup dispatch center.
Mm-hmm.
So the AvTech consoles, the main difference is that it uses radios, the same radios that we would use in a fire apparatus or in a police vehicle. So there are 6 radios in the back room. That's how it talks onto the system. So there are some limitations that come with that. Like when we would do paging for a fire with the unication pagers from primary dispatch, we can get kind of fancy and do a bunch of different things and page a bunch of people at the same time. We would have to pare that down quite a bit in the backup dispatch center with the AvTech. So there are some features. The GUI is different than what they would be used to, but it is functional. The
monitors are different, if I understand correctly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Like I said, it's what we were going to be using regardless before we looked at putting a tower in Fincastle because we didn't have the data connectivity. When that opportunity came available, that's when we investigated that option.
So if they're not identical, what do you think? Like, I can imagine if we had to go to a backup center, we're going to be in sort of a crisis situation, likely of some sort. What's going to be is there going to be a lag time in trying to, okay, I'm used to doing it this way, now I got to do it this way? How different are they, and will that slow down response times and their ability to do their work?
I'm sure there would be some because it obviously is not the same. We would hope that they would do some training, once a month, once a quarter, so they stay familiar with the backup center dispatch consoles. But I mean, I can't guarantee that there wouldn't be any lag time just because the GUI is different. I will say that it is quite intuitive. It looks much like the consoles that they have today. You know, it wouldn't take that long for them to be able to get up to speed.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Going back to option 3, does that include the deletion of fire and EMS from the Smart Connect?
Yes, sir. All of the options have that $65,000 reduction.
Okay, and the last part, the Fincastle backup facility, that'll have, it won't have the consoles that are the equivalent of the 911 center?
Think of them as, if you go buy a vehicle and then you have the base model and the limited, the backup center would have the base model.
Okay, so it'll be the Chevrolet and not the Cadillac.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept option 3.
I'll second.
So option 3 is not the entire 911, not the identical 911 center. That's the only backup. That's the only difference.
That's correct. It would be tying in with the Virginia State Police, but keeping the backup dispatch center with the Avtech consoles.
Any discussion?
I want to thank you for all this extra work and time. There was a lot to digest there a couple of weeks back, and we appreciate you.
And I apologize. It was quite a compressed time frame, and that's not the way I usually like to conduct things. And I apologize, but I hope that we've been able to, at the meetings we've been able to have, that been able to educate you and understand the situation a little bit better.
I would think a lot of people have learned a lot, maybe more than we wanted to about radios. So.
On that same vein, I'd like to thank you for going beyond the call of duty and giving me those spreadsheets on Christmas Day. That was very helpful.
You're very welcome.
Yes, sir.
In any discussion that we have, anybody else has, but to change our minds on 3 and 4, is there?
I'll be honest, when I look at 3 versus 4, I lean toward 4 because of the potential disruption when you move to a different system. That worries me, but that's just, I've spent some time with those folks and I know that environment a little bit. And so I would lean toward 4, would be my thought.
And Mr. Hinkle, you also said that they can learn that system. That is, they'll be able to educate themselves. Might be a little bit slower. This will be able to do it.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's quite intuitive. I mean, they're quite simplistic, I should say.
Okay.
It would not be that hard to orient yourself.
And again, that's my leaning, but as long as Arcadia is included, I feel strongly about the Virginia State Police part because that's where I am. But that's option 3 and 4 are good options. So that's kind of where I am with that. Supervisor Clinton, do you have any comments or discussion on this motion to approve option 3?
My inclination is similar to yours, Madam Chair. I was tending towards option 4. Like we said, either one of them would be okay. I just kind of like the redundancy and the backup in option 4.
Along with that, as far as upgrading the backup system, 911 system, can that be done in another budget year or 2?
Yep, absolutely. It could, but I will caution. I think we're at $395,000 for that particular upgrade. That's the cost differential. And part of that is they're already mobilized to do all of this. If we do it at a later date, you're going to have mobilization costs. Also, too, whatever price increases would happen. over the next how many ever years until we decide, put it into a budget. But it can be done. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, any further discussion? Okay, we're going to vote on option 3. We have a motion and a second. Let's do a voice vote for this, please. A roll call.
Did you call my name?
We're going to do a roll call vote for option 3, Steve.
Right.
Mr. Clinton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Scott Moore?
Yes.
No.
Mr. Nice?
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. So that is the specs that we'll proceed with. Thank you. Again, everybody has said this. You have really gone above and beyond to provide everyone all the details we could hope for in looking at this. So I thank you for that very much.
I thank everybody for, over the holidays coming back. I do appreciate it. And now we can get to work and get this thing put in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. With no further business on the agenda, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Yes, thank you. We are adjourned.